So today I wanted to talk to you all about my 2008 Saab 9.3 Turbo X and why I think that is the single best car that you can buy for $10,000. But before we get too far into this video, for those of you who are unaware of what this car is or new to the channel, this is my 2008 Saab 9.3 Turbo X. The Turbo X was produced exclusively for the 2008 model year from Saab, and it's kind of the ultimate Saab in a way. It's definitely the ultimate 9.3, which was definitely their most popular model their last 15 years or so in existence. So the Turbo X was made to celebrate 30 years of Saab turbocharging. It features a 2.8 liter turbocharged V6 from factory, putting out about 280 horsepower and just under 300 foot-pounds of torque. This one of course has some modifications, and when I take it to the dyno again soon and get a new tune, we'll see how much power it actually makes, but it'll be more than that. There were 2,000 Turbo X's produced. Of the 2,000, 600 were imported into the US, 211 of which were manual sedans like this one. Now this car also came in a 5-door sport combi, which is much more rare and usually more valuable. So that's a quick rundown on the Turbo X. If you guys want to know more about what makes this car so unique versus other Saabs, go ahead and check the link right up here in this corner. I did an entire video on that. Now I'm going to put a little asterisk next to the $10,000 because not every single Turbo X out there is going to be for sale for $10,000 or less. In fact, I'd say a majority of them are probably going to cost you more than $10,000. But this example right here, I purchased for $8,000 just over 2 months ago. Actually make it 3 months, and in those 3 months I've put just under 3,000 miles on this car. And I just wanted to, this isn't going to be like a review of any sort, I just want to talk about why I think that this is the best car that you can buy for $10,000. But if you're looking for a lower mileage Turbo X, this one didn't have any problems with it. But if you're looking for like a super low mileage Turbo X or even just a low mileage Turbo X, you're probably going to be paying 15 or maybe even 20 depending on if it's a sport combi. Again, just keep in mind that every single Turbo X for sale out there is probably not going to be for under $10,000. I check regularly when these pop up for sale just to see what people are asking. Thing I've always said about Saabs, and I made a video on this a long time ago discussing why Saabs are such a good bang for your buck car, and that is because they have so much to offer for the price that you can get them for. So there are a few categories, I guess you could say, that Saab really does well or exceptionally. Now, they're not the best in every single one of these, but they do all of them exceptionally, and it gives you kind of the whole package in a way. Now, first off is luxury. Second off is speed and performance. Third would be the uniqueness. Fourth would be the reliability, which I know a lot of people are going to question me on. And fifth is the looks. These are just 5 categories that I came up with off the top of my head. So the first category, luxury. Now, this is not the most luxurious car out there. I don't think anyone would really argue with that. If you're looking for the best luxurious car for 10 grand, you should probably go with an older Mercedes. But this car does have all the luxury features that you would expect from a European luxury company, I guess you could say. Of course, you have leather seats. This being the Turbo X, they are much sportier and have bigger side bolsters and whatnot down here. You have a very nice steering wheel. Because this is a GM era Saab, there is a good amount of plastic on the interior, but compared to the older 9.3s, the quality of these buttons and whatnot is a huge step up. I mean, these are very nice to the touch to turn. On stock suspension, the ride on these is incredibly smooth. They ride very well, and this car, as you can see, is on coilovers, and even with the coilovers, it still rides fairly well. It does have a Bose sound system. It has, you know, it's not the best sound system. I do wish it was a bit louder, but this car did not come with the optional. I think it's a 13 speaker. I think this one only has a 7 speaker system in it. And of course, with it being the Turbo X, you get carbon fiber accents here and there, which is just a lovely touch. I love that. So I also do want to touch on practicality here in this luxury category, I guess you could say. Now, it's not, again, it's not going to be the most practical car out there, but it is going to get the job done. You do have plenty of space for 5 full adults. Not a huge amount of legroom. I am 6 feet tall and do have long legs, so my seat is pretty far back, but you can seat 5 adults back there. Trunk space, of course, is not going to be as good as the Sport Combi, but you do get, I mean, a pretty good amount of space, and I apologize for the planes that keep going back and forth up there. Hopefully it's not too bad for you guys, but you do still have a good amount of trunk space in there. If you're taking your whole family to the airport or whatnot, you can fit everything that you would need for a week or 2 trip in there with no problem whatsoever. So the next category I wanted to touch on is performance. So, like I mentioned earlier, this car has a 2.8 liter turbocharged V6 making 280 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque from factory. Now, with it also having cross-wheel drive, which is essentially a complex all-wheel drive system, I did a video on that as well if you would like to learn more about Saab's cross-wheel drive system. It makes it very quick off the line. Now, fortunately, being cross-wheel drive and having all that extra shit in the back and all stuff in the middle adds a couple hundred extra pounds. And oh my God, can you leave us alone? But like I said, that makes the car very quick off the line. I'll go ahead and pop the hood here. Now this car, as most of you probably already know, is not stock. This car has a DO88 intercooler and charge pipe kit, hence the big aluminum tube right there. Outside of that, it has a full Corona 3-inch exhaust, downpipe and mid-pipe. Then it also has a short shifter and a muffler delete and blah, blah, blah. So speaking of exhaust, this car, I guess I'll include this in the performance category, has one of the best sounding exhaust notes. Just period. In my opinion, I think a lot of people agree with me on that. Even stock, these cars came pretty aggressive from factory. Saab wanted to make this like the sporty, you know, for the enthusiast Saab driver that, you know, that wanted something very sporty. This is kind of what you got. But of course, when you add a 3-inch catless downpipe and mid-pipe and you have a rear muffler delete, it sounds pretty mean. So these cars, if you are interested in modifying this V6, you can get, you know, once you start upgrading the turbo and stuff, you can get 400 horsepower out of these, and I think 425, 450 torque from like a V-tuner stage 2, and they can be pretty freaking quick. Now 0 to 60 from factory, I think when this car came out in 2008, Car and Driver or Motor Trend, one of them tested this, the manual sedan, at 5.7 seconds to 60, so that's pretty good. Again, this isn't the fastest car that you can buy for $10,000, but it's definitely no slouch. So the third category I mentioned was uniqueness. Now I kind of already talked about that, so I'll be very brief with this one, but again, one of 211 in this spec in the US, and you know, there are only 2 other Turbo X's in the entire state of Arizona. So I have never seen a Turbo X on the road besides mine. I'm sure people who live on the East Coast, where there's a bit more of them, have, you know, seen other ones on the road, but it's kind of cool to drive this around knowing that you're not gonna see another one, because one of them lives about 45 minutes from me and the other one lives about, you know, another 45 minutes from me. So this isn't a BMW M3, you know, most people don't know what it is, most people don't care what it is. But when I did take it to Cars and Coffee this past Saturday and we had a Sport Combi Turbo X parked next to it, there were actually a good amount of people coming up and looking at both the cars and, you know, kind of saying, oh wow, I didn't know what that was. That's pretty cool. We were just kind of talking about them, and, you know, watching people kind of look at our cars is kind of cool. So again, the uniqueness, I mean, I'm sure there's, by the numbers, more unique cars that you can buy out there, but in terms of, you know, just what this is and the specialty of this car, I think it's just about as good as you could get for 10 grand. Fourth on my list is reliability. Now this one is going to generate probably a little bit of controversy, not so much from you Saab owners, but from you non-Saab owners. I've always been and advocate that Saabs are reliable cars. In my experience with Saabs, now I'm not a mechanic, I don't have 30, 40, 50 years of mechanic experience, but you know, growing up around Saabs my whole life and now having owned 2 different Saabs for the past 2 to 3 years, I can vouch for them being reliable. I've never been stranded. This Turbo X has not given me a single problem in the 3 months that I've owned it. And for it being high mileage, that's not bad at all, honestly. And even before I bought this car was extremely reliable for the previous 2 owners, and that just goes to show how proper maintenance and even preventative maintenance can do so much for a car. So yeah, these cars will really test the reliability, of course, my personal experience with it as time goes on. But it's been dead reliable for me so far. So the last category on my list is looks. Now I'm gonna try and keep this brief because I know the video is already very long, but I love how these cars look. I love how the facelifted 9.3s look. This car is 10 years old, and I could see it still selling new on dealership lots just because of how modern it still looks. Now the interior is a different story because, I mean, you can't fault Saab for that. I mean, everyone knows how 10 years ago car interiors all just look so much different with so much less technology in them, and now everything's got a big touchscreen. If this car did have the nav option, then it would actually have a nice sized touchscreen in there, so it was possible. Granted, it's very outdated now, but it was possible. But just the looks, not only the modernness of the looks, I mean, you've got the LED lights, that new cars, some new cars still don't even come with those today, which is kind of sad. It's got the beautiful, unique wheels to it. It's so, I love how aggressive it is with this trunk spoiler here and the Turbo X unique exhaust. It looks so aggressive, it's so good. I love the color, I love everything about it. It might just seem like a boring black to you guys, but it actually does have a nice sparkle in it. You can see, excuse the car being a little dirty. We've been getting some rain the last couple days. It's pretty nice out now, but that's gonna wrap it up for today, guys. I just wanted to talk about why I think that this is the single best car that you can buy for $10,000. If you guys have other opinions, and I'm sure a lot of you will, drop them down below in the comments. Let me know what car you think you would buy if you had $10,000. What is the single one car that you would buy? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. This car will be going back to the dyno here soon to see how much power it makes with the new modifications. I'm excited to see what happens with that, guys. I'm just gonna go enjoy it. I mean, the weather's beautiful. It's like 60, 65 degrees right now. It's so nice out. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Check your body.